Have you ever thought about the Constitution a little differently? Not as some dry, heavy textbook, but more like a personal toolkit, a set of powerful instruments that every single citizen gets to protect their liberty and make sure justice is served. Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're opening up that toolkit.
So, what's actually in this toolkit of yours? We're about to unbox some of the most crucial fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. And these aren't just, abstract ideas written down somewhere. They are real, practical tools that you can actually use in your life.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to start with the foundational tools, your everyday freedoms. Then, we'll look at the defensive gear, the stuff that protects you in legal battles. After that, we get to the really good stuff, the master keys, the writs that can literally unlock justice. And finally, we'll figure out which court you need to go to use them.
First up, Article 19. I want you to think of these as the Swiss Army knife in your toolkit. They're the multi-tool you carry with you everywhere. These are the essential freedoms that allow you to live, well, as a free citizen in a democracy.
And here they are, the big six. The freedom to speak your mind and express yourself. The freedom to gather, peacefully of course, and without weapons. The freedom to form groups and unions. The freedom to move around and live anywhere you want in India. And, of course, the freedom to choose whatever job or profession you want. These are the absolute bedrock of our civil liberties. They are yours, period.
Now here's the catch, and this is super important. As powerful as these freedoms are, they aren't a blank check. They're not unlimited. The Constitution itself lays out some very specific restrictions. The government can limit these rights, but, and this is the key word, those limits have to be reasonable. And they can only be justified on these very precise grounds you see here, like protecting national security or maintaining public order, not just for any old reason.
And hey, for everyone studying for exams, your ears should perk up right now. This is a classic trap. You see the phrase national interest? It sounds perfectly reasonable, right? But it is not listed in the Constitution as a valid ground for restricting these freedoms. You have to remember that specific list we just saw. National interest isn't on it.
Okay, let's move on to the next set of tools. If Article 19 was your multi-tool, think of Articles 20 and 21 as your shield and body armor. This is the gear that protects you when you're at your most vulnerable, when you're facing the power of the state in a legal case.
Article 20 gives you this fantastic three-part shield. First, you can't be punished for something that wasn't illegal when you did it. Makes sense, right? Second, no double jeopardy. You can't be tried and punished twice for the same exact crime. And third, the one we've all heard in movies, you have the right to remain silent. You cannot be forced to testify against yourself.
And now for what is arguably the heart of the entire toolkit. Article 21. It's so simple, but wow, is it profound. It guarantees the most precious rights, your life and your liberty, to every single person, not just citizens. And the only way the state can even touch those rights is by following a legal procedure that is just, fair, and reasonable.
What's really fascinating is how the Supreme Court has made this right grow over the decades. They basically said, you know what? Life isn't just about breathing. It means a life with dignity. And because of that interpretation, Article 21 now includes all these other things: the right to privacy, the right to a clean environment, even the right to a speedy trial. It's a living, breathing shield that keeps getting stronger.
Okay, next in the toolkit are the specific instruments you need if you're ever arrested. Article 22 provides a really clear set of safeguards to protect you from being detained arbitrarily.
These are your 4 immediate rights if you're arrested under ordinary law. 1. The police have to tell you why they're arresting you. 2. You have the right to get a lawyer. 3. And this one is critical. They have to take you to see a judge, a magistrate, within 24 hours. And 4. They can't just keep you locked up beyond that 24 hours without the magistrate's permission. That 24-hour rule is a massive, powerful check on police power.
But, of course, there's a major exception, and it's a huge focus for exams: preventive detention. This allows the state to detain someone not for a crime they've already committed, but to prevent them from committing one. It's a very serious power, and it has its own separate set of rules, including a review by an advisory board.
So, you have all these rights. That's great. But what happens if someone violates them? How do you fight back? That brings us to the most powerful tools in the entire kit, the 5 writs. Think of these as the master keys that can command the whole justice system to spring into action.
The first, and definitely the most famous key, is Habeas Corpus. In Latin, it literally means, you may have the body. And its purpose is just that simple and that powerful. If someone is being held illegally, a court can issue this writ to force the authorities to bring that person before them and justify the detention. It is the ultimate safeguard against being illegally locked away.
Our second key is Mandamus, which translates directly from Latin as "we command." You use this key when a public official or a government body is just not doing a legal duty they're supposed to do. It's basically a court order telling them to do their job. But it's important to remember the exceptions. You can't use it against the president, state governors, or any private individuals.
Now, let's look at two writs that are super easy to confuse: Prohibition and Certiorari. The slide lays it out perfectly, but here's the simplest way to think about it: before versus after. Prohibition is preventative. It's a stop sign. It tells a lower court to halt proceedings before it makes a mistake. Certiorari, on the other hand, is a cure. It's used after the lower court has already made a decision to quash or cancel that order. One prevents, the other cures.
Our final key is Quo Warranto, which asks a simple but very powerful question: by what authority?
This is a unique tool you use to challenge someone who's holding a public office they might not be legally entitled to. Essentially, it forces them to prove their legal right to be in that position. It's a really powerful tool for public accountability, and what's cool is that any interested citizen can file it.
Okay, so we've got our master keys, the writs, but which door do they open? Which lock do you use? You have two main options: the Supreme Court under Article 32 or a High Court under Article 226. Let's see how they compare.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, and this is a huge point for any exam. You'd think the Supreme Court, as the highest court, would have more power, right? Well, when it comes to writs, its power is actually narrower than a high court's, and here's why. The Supreme Court can only issue writs for violations of fundamental rights, but the High Court can issue them for fundamental rights plus any other legal right. It's a critical, counterintuitive distinction to remember. The High Court's scope is wider.
So there you have it, your basic constitutional toolkit, from the freedoms you use every single day to the master keys that enforce them. These aren't just articles in some book. They are living, breathing instruments of power and protection. So the only real question left is, now that you know what's in your toolkit, how will you use it to build a more just society?